So please give a warm Ashland and Richland County welcome to Seth Morgan.
I am very sorry that you all had to get up early on a Saturday morning and come out, and but I'm grateful you all did it. I'm grateful to meet you. I think we have struggled coordinating calendars throughout this campaign with the events that you folks have had, and it's not because we've been sitting at home picking our ears. It's because we've been on the road. My wife Deborah's with me today. She doesn't like to be called out, but I just did it anyway. So I'll get a price for that later. Happy to have her with me today. We don't always get to travel together, but this time we do. She's looking up the time so that I know what time I have. I don't know what time frame you folks are on, but I think I've got at least 3 or 4 hours to spend with you this morning. Actually, I think we're okay. I think I have to be at Akron to speak to Eagle Forum after this at about 1 o'clock. So anyway, I'm going to speak for a little bit if that's okay. I don't know how long you wanted the meeting to go on, but I love
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
You have to speak.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'll fill all of the 30, but I'd love the Q&A part and would love the open dialogue. But let me just tell you a little bit about myself. As she said, I serve as a state representative right now from the 36th House District, which is parts of Montgomery County, which is the Dayton area, for those of you that don't know. I was raised in a very Christian home where God was kind of the center of our personal lives. My father served in the military, and so we traveled the world until I was 10. But right after God was Ronald Reagan. He was kind of the political god, if you will. And that was kind of the home I was raised in. We weren't very politically active. My dad being in the Air Force, we neither had the time nor the money, nor probably even did they have the interest. Politics was one of those things that probably most of you feel like it was dirty, it was corrupt, it was something that was almost like a necessary evil. You put up with it, you voted, you complained, and like many of us Americans, that's what they did. But I was homeschooled my final 3 years of high school, and I just came out of that curriculum and came out of that experience with just a deep love for our history and the free economic system that we had, the capitalistic system that we had, and frankly listened to Rush Limbaugh a lot. And that just kind of invigorated me, because I would sit there at home at my desk in my room and do my work and listen to Rush and keep up with the news. And so when I got out of high school, I was interested in getting engaged politically. Had no idea what that meant. To be honest with you, I am an introvert, like probably every CPA is. I went to college just to get a degree so that I could earn a living. And I landed on accounting. I hate to admit this, almost by default. It fit my personality. It fit what I wanted to do. I didn't think I wanted to be a CPA, because CPAs had to work with people. I thought, I'll just go get an accounting degree and go hang out in some corporation someplace with my green eye shade and, live my happy life. But God had other things in mind. And so as I was in college, I started volunteering for campaigns. I thought the Republican Party was God's gift to the American political system. I later learned that wasn't completely true. But I started volunteering for campaigns, again, just really with the intent of being engaged. Nothing more. Got out of college, sat for the CPA exam, almost by mistake again. Ohio was changing the rules as to what it meant to be a CPA. I wanted to sit for the exam prior to those rules changed. And so, like everything I've done in my life, to the best of my ability, I tried to do it to the best of my ability. And so I passed and kind of jumped into public accounting, which was not my intent, but that's where I could find a job. So it was kind of just this weird, I look back now and see the hand of sovereignty on it. But at 23 years of age, I was single still. I had gotten out of college. I was a CPA. I'd gotten out of master's school, actually. I'd gone back to University of Dayton and gotten a master's degree there, and was still single. And I thought, well, I can do more now. I have more time. I don't like letting grass grow under my feet, so I decided I'd run for the Heber Heights City Council, which is where I live. There was a Democrat serving in that seat, and again, Ronald Reagan, Republican Party, 11th Commandment. I could do no wrong by challenging this Democrat, so I thought I'll just run for office. And I'll never forget, I walked into the Montgomery County Republican Party chairman's office, and I said, Chairman Jacobson, Jeff Jacobson was one of those old-time political bosses. He ruled Montgomery County Republican politics with an iron fist. To be honest with you, he did a very good job for the party. He got himself into some trouble, as most of those big political bosses do, But at the time, he was the A game, and so I walked into his office and said, I want to run for the Huber City Council Ward 3. And I never forget what he told me until I get to mention it. And he said, well, Seth, he said, if Abraham Lincoln doesn't come along, you're our man. He really said this, and I walked out of that office. I was 23, and I was escorted out by his aide. You know, he was a sitting state senator at the time, and I thought to myself, I have the power of the Montgomery County Republican Party behind me. And then later it hit me. That's not at all what he said. What he said was, you're the only poor dumb sucker we can find to run for this seat, so if you want to do it, nobody else will. So I ran, and won by 3 votes, and had a tremendous mandate from the people. So I waltzed into office at the age of 23 on a 3-vote victory. The funny part is, I didn't find it very funny that night. My sister didn't vote. So if she had voted, I could have won by 2 votes. It would have even been closer, because she probably would have voted against me. But anyway, so I go into the city council, and I'll start to be a little briefer. You know, I did what probably every good red-blooded American would do, especially someone that was raised in a Christian home like I was. I thought you just laid your cards on the table. I thought you just stuck up for the truth, and whoever won the debate won the day, and you moved on. And so I did that. I rolled up to the back table, you know, where most of the decisions were made, either in committee or even sometimes in executive session. And Huber Heights, for those that don't know it, and I wouldn't expect you to know it, it's not a small town. It's, I mean, it's small by some people's respects. It's about 40,000 people. It's the 3rd largest city in Montgomery County. It's one of the growing suburbs to the north, and it's very diverse. Matter of fact, its population really boomed in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s under a guy named Charles Huber, who became extremely wealthy off development. It was kind of the new concept at that time that middle class families could have a brick home. So these are very platted, postage stamp size homes, and it grew through the development of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is how we got there because my dad was reassigned there. And so it has just a tremendous amount of diversity. Some racially, but that's not really what I mean as much as I mean everything from blue to white collar and everything in between. And so the council itself was very diverse. It was very, you know, you named it, you had it. And what struck me was that it wasn't split along party lines. Although everyone knew whose party we were in because it was a nonpartisan council, but we still knew the game. It was struck really along philosophical lines. And so I thought you'd roll up to the table. I thought the Republicans would stick up for me, and you know that's what we would do. And that turned out to absolutely not be the case. And in the first 6 months, I called out our city manager, and I won't bore you with all the inside baseball, but just say I called him out in private, doing what I thought was my job, which was my job. And little did I know I was starting a war that would last about 3.5 years for myself. And I called him out because he was making a decision that was not good for the people of Huber Heights, and I won't get into the details of that unless you ask. And that really started something for me that was very difficult. Those first 4 years for me were incredibly tough. And I ended up kind of in a very high-profile battle with this man. He was very well liked in the community, or so he thought, and so many other people thought. He had the support of the press. He ended up a couple of years into my time getting a couple of former mayors who were kind of viewed as the founder of our city to come out against me publicly and criticize my youth and how I didn't understand. And it was all boiling down to, you know, who had the right to govern? Was it the council who was elected by the people, or was it this bureaucrat who had been appointed? And most of the council, unfortunately, was more than happy just to sit back and let him take the lead and blame him when there was a problem and give him credit when there was, you know. And so anyway, I didn't really know if I'd get reelected. And I thought it might be the end of my time in politics, which I would have been sad for, I think, at that time. I don't remember what my emotional status was at that time. I'm looking at my wife because I don't remember yesterday. She's always kind of the historian of the family. I think I would have been sad, but I don't think it would have mattered a whole lot. I was on my way in my career, and everything would have been okay. But we ran for re-election because I felt like that's what I was to do. And I really thought, I mean, I had won by 3 votes. I was literally called the redheaded stepchild that's going to get beat in the first election. I was young. I was challenged by a very, very nice African-American gentleman who was former Air Force, so he had good political credentials. And I thought, this could be it. I could just get beat. I could just go away.